In 2024, the F-4 Phantom II is a fading memory in most of the world. Once the king of the Cold War skies, it is now mostly relegated to the occasional air show. But all the way in Turkey, the Phantom is far from forgotten. This November, at Eskişehir Air Base, the Turkish Air Force honored 50 years of service for the legendary jet with an unforgettable celebration. Leading the charge was an F-4E featuring a massive Turkish flag across its fuselage, the iconic Spook mascot on its underside, and a portrait of the first president on its wings. The event culminated in a synchronized elephant walk as 10 Phantoms thundered down the runway in formation. For a jet that has been the backbone of the Turkish Air Force for half a century, the November feat is a triumphant display. But as the model nears its final bow, all eyes are on what will come next, and whether Turkey can successfully transition to a fighter worthy of the F-4's storied legacy. Phantoms in Turkey. In the early 1970s, the F-4 Phantom II was a powerhouse. Built for speed, range, and adaptability, it could climb to over 50,000 feet, hit speeds of Mach 2.2, and pack a versatile and powerful punch. Since its introduction nearly 2 decades before, the type was an apex predator in both air-to-air and air-to-ground missions of all kinds all over the world. And Turkey, eager to bolster its air force, wanted in. In 1972, under the Peace Diamond 1 project, the nation secured an agreement with the United States to acquire 40 F-4E Phantom IIs, making them the second NATO country in the region to fly the jet. These aircraft were fresh off McDonnell Douglas's assembly line, equipped with cutting-edge radar and avionics for the time, and it didn't take long before a team of Turkish pilots and technicians were dispatched to America for training. Delivery of 40 models began in 1974. However, after its military intervention in Cyprus that same year, relations with Washington soured, and a newly imposed arms embargo halted the supply of spare parts and threatened the operation of its new fleet. In response, Turkey scrambled to keep the jets operational by leaning on its domestic defense industry and improvising maintenance protocols until it was lifted a few years later. Despite this rocky start, the F-4 fleet quickly grew in size and importance. By the late 1970s, Turkey doubled down on its investment, ordering more jets through surplus deals, including 32 more F-4Es and 8 RF-4Es for reconnaissance duties. Early deliveries featured Southeast Asia camouflage and TZO cameras for spotting distant targets. Later arrivals in Egyptian 1 camouflage, designed for air superiority, were also used for strikes. The final batch included pave spike pod compatibility, enabling precision bombing. Growing fleet. The momentum continued into the 1980s, and by the end of the decade, additional deliveries from the US and new purchases had boosted the total number of F-4s to around 120, making it one of the largest Phantom operators in the world. The F-4 brought a technological revolution to the Turkish Air Force, replacing older jets, establishing numerous new squadrons, and introducing the Weapons Systems Officer role. Now, as the backbone of Turkey's Air Force, the Phantom guarded NATO's southern flank and simultaneously patrolled contested airspace over the Aegean. In this region, Turkey often faced Greece, a fellow Phantom operator, who, despite being NATO allies, are sworn local rivals. Early in the following decade, Turkey's F-4 fleet peaked with more than 200 aircraft, and with the Gulf War erupting in early 1991, Turkey was set to play an indirect yet pivotal role. While the Phantoms were tasked with defensive operations along the southern border, Turkey opened its air bases to coalition forces, hosting Belgian Mirages, German Alpha jets, and Italian F-104Gs for their now legendary air campaign against Iraqi forces during Operation Desert Storm. These air bases became critical launch points for sorties targeting enemy infrastructure and troop concentrations, solidifying the nation's role as a key NATO ally in the Gulf War. In recognition of its support, Turkey received 40 additional F-4Es from surplus U.S. Air Force stocks in March of that same year. At that time, the American branch was beginning to phase out large quantities of the models. Even if they were old, these Phantoms were quite desirable to countries like Turkey, which already had F-4 fleets. Still determined to amass even more of these powerful machines, between 1992 and 94, as part of the Khan project, Turkey acquired 46 ex-Luftwaffe RF-4E reconnaissance aircraft, enhancing the nation's intelligence-gathering capabilities. As the world neared the 21st century, the overall model of the F-4 was aging, and with the United States and others rapidly retiring their fleets, Turkey needed upgrades to stay in the competitive modern warfare game. Modernization. In 1997, Turkey faced a tough choice: replace its aging F-4 fleet or take a bold gamble to modernize it. Budget constraints ruled out new fighters, so the Terminator 2020 program was born. The $632 million project, in partnership with Israel Aerospace Industries, upgraded 54 F-4Es with cutting-edge avionics, modern radar, and AIM-120 AMRAAM missiles, transforming them into multi-role fighters fit for modern operations. And while critics questioned investing in an older platform, the upgrades extended the Phantom's relevance, especially in counter-terrorism missions well into the 21st century, hence the 2020 terminology. In the 2000s, Turkey's upgraded F-4s played key roles in cross-border operations, supporting strikes in northern Iraq, while reconnaissance variants gathered vital intelligence. By 2010, however, the Phantom began stepping aside for newer jets like the F-16. Reduced to specialized roles, the F-4 still held its ground, but the risks of flying an aging legend in hostile skies were only growing. On June 22, 2012, the Turkish Air Force sent one of its RF-4E Phantoms on a routine reconnaissance mission near the Turkish-Syrian border. At the time, Syria was embroiled in a brutal civil war, and Turkish forces were monitoring developments closely. That day, the Phantom flew at low altitude over the Mediterranean, collecting intelligence, when a surface-to-air missile from Syrian air defenses struck the aircraft, breaking it apart. The jet then spiraled into the sea, taking the lives of both Turkish pilots, Captain Gökhan Ertan and Lieutenant Hasan Hussein Aksoy. Following the incident, the Syrian government claimed the Phantom had violated its airspace, justifying its response. Turkey strongly denied this, and the radar data and flight paths quickly became the focus of an international dispute, with the nation calling for NATO consultations. As a result of the only recorded loss of a Turkish F-4 in combat, the nation increased its military presence along the Syrian border and issued new rules of engagement. Now, any Syrian military element near Turkish borders would be treated as a hostile target. The 2012 shootdown marked a turning point for Turkey's F-4 fleet. While reconnaissance variants continued limited operations, their combat role steadily diminished. Phantoms continued to sporadically appear throughout the years in NATO exercises and served in training missions. An unforgettable celebration. Japan retired its Phantoms in 2020, and South Korea followed a few months ago in June 2024, leaving only Greece, Iran, and Turkey still flying the iconic jet. To honor this legacy, the Turkish government threw a massive and unforgettable celebration for the F-4's 50 years of service. In November 2024, the Turkish government hosted two events, hosting dozens of spotters and photographers specializing in aircraft at Eskişehir Air Base in northwestern Turkey, home to the 111th Filo Punter Squadron, which operates the Phantom, to witness an incredible sight. The anniversary festivities began on the 16th with dramatic low-level flights over a nearby valley, nicknamed the Turkish Mach Loop for its resemblance to the iconic Welsh site, where military jets showcased their precision flying at breathtakingly low altitudes. Leading the celebration was F-4E serial number 770303, decked out in a striking red and black anniversary scheme, with a massive Turkish flag across its upper sides, as well as the image of Kemal Atatürk, the first president of the Republic of Turkey, on the wing. On its belly was the iconic Spook mascot, a Phantom tradition since the late 1950s. The anniversary jet, joined by another standard-painted F-4E, thrilled spectators with high and low-speed passes, offering an unforgettable showcase of the Phantom's raw power, leaving photographers and onlookers in awe. On Sunday, November 17th, the celebration shifted back to Eskişehir Air Base for a spectacular display where, once again, the anniversary jet led a four-ship formation, soaring over the base in multiple flybys. Meanwhile, 6 additional F-4Es emerged from their hardened shelters, lining up at the far end of the runway. As the four-ship formation completed its final pass and landed, all 10 jets came together for an awe-inspiring elephant walk. The synchronized movements of these iconic jets, backed by their roaring engines, captured onlookers and served as a fitting tribute to the Phantom's legacy and its 5 decades of service with the Turkish Air Force. Uncertain future. While the Terminator 2020 upgrades were approved in 1997 to keep the F-4Es flying until 2020, Turkey still has around 30 to 40 jets in service. While the Turkish Air Force is set to finally retire them after 50 years of service, it remains unclear when that transition will be completed. Originally, the F-4E was set to be replaced by the F-35A stealth fighter, but Turkey's purchase of Russian S-400 missile systems led to its removal from the Joint Strike Fighter program, leaving the Phantom without a clear successor. Now, all eyes are on the TF-Khan, Turkey's native and ambitious next-generation fighter. This new model is designed to rival 5th-generation jets and comes with stealth capabilities, advanced avionics, and a high payload capacity. If successful, it will position Turkey as a significant player in the global defense industry. Still, delays and engine sourcing issues mean it won't be operational before 2030 at the very least. Turkey has pursued interim options to bridge the gap, like the potential purchase of 40 new General Dynamics F-16 Fighting Falcons or Eurofighter Typhoons. There's even speculation the F-35 could return to the table if Turkey agrees to abandon the Russian-made S-400 systems. No deals have been finalized for now, and the classic Cold War-era design remains in frontline service with the Turkish Air Force, continuing its long legacy for the foreseeable future.